Hello everyone. Today I'm presenting a podcast on the subject CSPE. It will outline an urban field study aimed at second year students as part of the Junior Cycle programme. So firstly, in this podcast, I'm going to outline the rationale behind the topic chosen for this study, the teaching and learning activities students will engage with, and the links this urban field study will make with other curricular subjects. I would use the following hooks to draw students in. For example, visuals, such as the one you're looking at now, and interesting facts about the topic. Did you know there are 500 million bicycles in China? 100 million bicycles are manufactured worldwide each year. That Americans use their bicycles for less than 1% of all urban trips, but Europeans bike in cities a lot more often. In Italy, 5% of trips are by bike. In the Netherlands, 30%. In fact, 7 out of 8 Dutch people over the age of 15 have a bike. So what is the situation in Ireland? Despite our national cycle policy framework, I discovered recently in a group of 30 students aged 14 to 15 that only 30% own a bike and that less than 10% cycle regularly. And this backs up recent findings from a CSO census about the declining rate of cycling in Ireland among our young people. So based on these findings and the following reasons, I decided this would be a meaningful topic for our urban field study. Firstly, the school has recently completed a cyclathon, a fundraiser to help rebuild a local community youth building. This involves students and staff cycling 680 kilometres, the distance between Waterford and Mizenhead, in a stationary position. That's me on the left. Secondly, the Mayor's Healthy Week has just taken place, which got me to thinking about healthy physical activity. And thirdly, the recent bus strike in Dublin and the refusal to allow cyclists to use idle bus lanes highlights how choices are made on how we use our urban streets to transport people. The main goal of this topic is to promote cycling to school. I believe the topic of this study addresses at least 2 concepts in the CSPE syllabus. Stewardship, where students are asked to consider how their actions as citizens can make for a more sustainable environment. And development, how local planning decisions can help citizens make the right choices regarding transport. Before embarking on the urban field study, in the classroom, students will explore useful vocabulary in a variety of ways, through ICT skills using online apps such as Quizlet and Kahoots. They will conduct a survey about cycling to school and examine a case study of Munster, Germany's top bicycle city. After this, we're ready to explore the streets of Waterford. So during our urban field study, students will investigate if Waterford streets are safe for cyclists. 2, they will learn about cycling safely. And 3, they will gather information to design an action plan to promote cycling to school. Taking this trip, students will look out for ways in which Waterford City and County Council have taken measures to support cycling in Waterford. We will look out for the road signs and traffic symbols along the route that show us how we share our streets safely. And with cyclists in mind, we will look out for cycle lanes and other measures in the street planning design of Waterford City. On arrival in Ballybricken, a central urban area, we will note the difference in its use from its time as a marketplace in 1915 to its present use as a roundabout and car park. We will complete a task in pairs to count the number of cars using the roundabout in a 10-minute period, and also note the number of passengers in each vehicle. The worksheet attached makes comparative statistics about the amount of space required to transport people by car, bus and bike. We will ponder if it is better to go by car or brighter to go by bike. We will then complete a vox pop about this topic, and later, back in the classroom, this will act as a stimulus for a debate entitled Cars Should Be Banned in Waterford. And finally, we will visit a local bike shop owner and cycling enthusiast who who runs the local biscuit club, it's a cycling club, and interview him about the challenges faced by cyclists in Waterford. Students will have the opportunity to complete the interview questionnaire and take notes of his key cycling safety tips. The interview will be recorded for students to listen back in class and answer questions on the content of the interview. So how does our urban field study link with other curricular subjects? Well, it links with geography and using maps and urban planning, with history with our visit to Ballybricken, with SPHE and PE, with cycling as a healthy activity, and of course our task of walking, with literacy and numeracy in completing various tasks and dealing with signs, symbols and statistics, with English in the many forms of communication, with art and ICT in dealing with our case study and the design of the action plan tasks. I think this urban field trip could be expanded to a full action plan to promote cycling to school. Together we could design a poster and a booklet full of great cycling tips, a school newsletter that could include a transcript of our interview with our cycling enthusiast. We could also write a letter to local planners about measures to promote cycling in Waterford. And judging by the success of our recent cyclathon, we could create a cycling event with training for students who cannot cycle to include everyone at the school. There are many possible extensions to this urban field study we could explore further. So today in this podcast, we've explored how this urban field study helps students investigate the topic of cycling outside the classroom and in their local community. The study included activities where firstly students investigated if Waterford streets are safe for cyclists through map reading, note-taking, observation, interviewing, pair and group work. We discovered how students learn about cycling tips. And finally, how this urban field study is an action plan which can impact on individual students, their school and the wider community by exploring through active engagement if Waterford is better by car or brighter by bike. Thanks everyone for your attention.